everybody, I'm Sean Robinson,
I'm Carson Grubaugh. Welcome to Living the Line.
and with us today, award-winning cartoonist, animator, gentleman, scholar, Brandon Graham.
Woo woo,
Gentlemen.
which means Formalism Friday. And today we're going to be talking about spines. Not just my wiggly, the fact that I can move, but Brandon, the last time we were recording, was wondering how many of the books on my shelf he could name based on the spine. And that seems like actually a good topic, like good spine design being recognizable from a distance. So okay, Brandon.
It's
I
okay.
don't know if I can get that. What were we saying, John?
Well, Carson has already made a claim here that I feel like I need to rebut before he even
What?
starts. Good spine design or distinctive spine design?
I don't know. The same thing to me.
Yeah, that's interesting because is the entire point of it to so that you can identify it from a distance and then pick it up and read it?
Catch your eye in a store. Actually, I think like these ones that I'm pointing at, they do catch your eye, but I don't think they go very well together as a set, even though they are a set.
Are those Peanuts books?
Nope.
Bazooka?
It goes from here to here as a set.
Oh,
And it's very strange to me that the colors don't flow.
Are they vertical published?
They're Tonkobon.
They are, but did Vertical put them out?
Oh no, I don't know.
Viz. Okay,
Viz.
I don't know.
This
Yeah,
is
no,
all
those-
this is all the same artist.
Oh, geez, you're gonna leave in us gasping for breath here.
Okay, so the ones Brandon did notice.
Yes, you got the
those ones are easy.
Battle Angel. You've got the Akira redesigns, and between those, is that the Appleseed?
Appleseed book 2.
2, 3, 4, and there's a tiny. I have a smaller version of one in there. And then what's this one?
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, that's the new
Ghost in
Ghost
the
in the Shell.
I have a different version of here.
Oh yeah. The one I've got's got like I guess all. It's got that plus 1.5 and 2. It's all like in one.
There's a
Does that
Ghost in
one
the
that you have glossy paper or matte paper?
It's glossy. The weird
Those
thing about this
bastards.
is you look at the original Japanese edition of it, and actually the Ghost in the Shell book is made to look like a gun, where on the spine there's a bullet.
Yeah, that's this is it's like looking down at the gun from the top, and that right there is like a bullet like in the chamber. There's
Yeah,
actually
like
two
that's
bullets,
really cool design.
two bullets in the chamber.
But my version that I have here has got the naked scene that's not in that version.
Oh, and it's got shiny paper. The colors reproduce like shit in that because it's printed on toilet paper, so it sucks up and desaturates all his sexy colors.
Yeah, I was about to open it to the wrong page, but
Oh yeah, that looks so much better.
not to get off topic too much, but something I really love about this book is when he transitions out of the color section, he slowly goes into black and white. It's like they get more.
I'd made a note of that when I was reading it because we're gonna have to talk about that at some point, like episode by episode. It'll take us the rest of our lives. But
behind your head on the far left or on my far right, I want that to be a little Abner book, but it probably isn't.
No, definitely not. Okay, what about
Well, hold on. I want to deal with your claim here about the. Do you guys think that those Battle Angel Alita books that's an example of a good spine design? I mean, it's certainly distinctive, right? You can pick it out on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it. It feels like they did their job, but they didn't excel.
It's pretty cheesy. I also really hate these Akira ones. Like actually the colors again, like okay, that's Goodnight Pun up there. And there's the little bird image on it, which is nice, but to me the colors don't flow together at all. And then on the Akira, the color makes no sense. And then you see on number 1, it's taller, like that little panel, the set of images, like you've got a horizontal here and then it jumps up, which is really shitty. And then if you take that off, the covers underneath are even worse. They're like these wild checker patterns and nothing go like I hate the dust jackets, and I left them on that one because what's underneath is so bad.
I have an Akira here that has the cover list for some reason I want Akira book 6 to be the colors of book 1.
Like it
Yeah.
cycles back around. Yeah.
Or just
that
the
makes
red
sense.
sandwich.
Is kind of
So-
because probably because the movie poster. You just like I want the red to be the introduction to it. Is that Alan Moore's Supreme on the shelf below?
No.
Oh.
No, Alan Moore's in the living room, but
The
I don't
Wizard
have
Cage.
Supreme. So Sean, I agree with you. These I think are all pretty bad. All of these mangas here are pretty bad, I think, even though they do jump off the shelf and are distinctive.
You know, it's a weird thing to design a spine, and there's a bunch of different reasons why it's a weird thing, but it's also the thing that you just hate to get wrong, and it's so easy to get some tiny little detail of it wrong, especially when you're designing a series or something like that, you know, because each of the book has its own form factor, like the thickness is going to be slightly different, you know, and you know, your file isn't exactly the same. It's not like you can just drop it into a template.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Alita books are particularly frustrating for me because A, they're gorgeous inside,
Mhm.
and you know the art's finally the size and the reproduction, you know, favors it really well. And B, the guy can paint like a maniac, so you've got these beautiful paintings, and it's like I can't imagine why a designer would take these beautiful paintings and chop them up and use a section of them for the front, and then put everything else in this sort of like, I mean, I guess this is just essentially like a movie tie-in. Is that the idea that like this is just like get your
It's just supposed to look technical, like kind of
like sexy trade journal?
I do look a little early 2000s. Something else thing I do all of my spines I've done by hand except for like the profit ones, which are
Right.
just yeah. And so it's always a really frustrating thing to try to like have a little sliver that I've ruled out on a piece of paper and write out the logo for the thing. I think for my King City book, I actually took a doorknob from an interview with the Wachowskis and turned it into the image logo, and I was really proud of that.
That's pretty good. Did anyone catch that? Is that an Easter egg anyone's caught?
I mean, not that it's from just like, I don't know if here's a name droppy story, but when I lived in Canada, William Gibson's daughter gave me a bunch of magazines that he didn't need anymore that all had interviews with him. And so he cut out the interviews with him to keep in his file folders. And so I had this whole selection of science fiction adjacent magazines from the 90s. And so it'd be like, here's a Matrix interview with the Wachowskis. And whenever I do collage, I just had a stack of these and I would go through them and scan them and use that. But it gave my work in that time, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, this very like 1990s magazine look to it, I thought, because I was always looking at those.
And with the spines, like you're always better off with a thicker book, right? In terms of just eye catching, you have more room to put a big chunky title. Like Akira, you can probably read from here, right, with that big block letter. But like on King City, that's what, like 4-5 issues that are collected, so you have a pretty thin little.
Oh no, the image one that was 12 issues, so it's really fat.
Oh, fat. Okay.
Yeah,
but like a lot of them, they're like tiny little, like, well, most of the image books you get are 6 issues at most, and like you can't really design a compelling spine at that size, I don't think. Like
my walrus book here.
Yeah, let's see the spine on that.
Rare thing, and the spine is this thing where I wrote walrus and drew the walrus and then hand did it, and then I just scanned like stars and whatever that circle is, where I would just scan things and be like, that's a good design element, I'm going to use that.
Just random stuff.
The circle says 145 on it. And I like the idea of doing things that are design things, and you're like, that's there because I need something there, not because it has a reason. Let's see.
Yeah, breaking rules.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell tale out of school here.
I do have one of the Living the Line books here.
Oh yeah, nice spine on that one. Yeah, always
the weird manga that feels like Tripping Balls the manga.
That is Tripping Balls the manga. That's a good way.
How does the Plaza spine look again? Actually, if you wouldn't mind popping that up, this is a pretty good. Yeah. So this is actually I made this this book mirror reversed. So if you look at the front cover, um, and yeah, which is on the other side. So you know, it's a manga. It reads right to left, and on the back side, I just flipped it exactly, and you can see on the spine you actually have the seam, which it actually generates a weird kind of pattern, like a mandala kind of pattern, as the seam hits. So I just took the image and flipped it perfectly mirror reversed, and then
Yeah.
posed the text on top of it.
Which is perfect for, like Brandon said, the drug trip that is Plaza.
Yeah, it gives it this lava lamp feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So this is actually I'll give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes. So
Speaking of
Carson,
spine design, we've been designing a spine.
right? We're doing a collection of Abolition of Man, and you know, Carson was really keen on um,
And teeth.
having it look like a Bible or some type of, you know, holy book.
Or just like an old leather bound book, but yeah, I like the idea that it is.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my F witches here.
Oh, we
yeah,
got to talk about that one.
that's it.
What?
Oh, I went through my collection and found a creepy red leather bound book.
Oh, that's where that element came from.
That's right. So I got this. This is a book, Poems by Thomas Hood, illustrated by Gustave Doré.
Bound in
And
human skin, but look at that.
exactly, the skin of man. And every single part of it just seems perfect. It just screams like the right thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's got what I've learned today communicating with the printer. It's called debossing, which is pressed in.
Debossing, not embossing.
Yeah, debossing, pressed in like a black or black foil, and then a gold foil, and then these really, really cool elements. So guess what? I just scanned the damn thing and used this for a cover.
I love that element. I also need to point out that debossing is when you Debo from the film Friday, the villain embosses something.
So here's the spine on this book, which is just gonna, you know, it takes the. I didn't copy all of this because it's just a little bit too far. This is sort of the like craft revolution, you know, aspect to it, like um
The arts and crafts movement.
yeah, exactly. So that they kind of took some of the sort of, you know, biblical stuff and then just went nuts with it. So like this is actually Gustave Doré and Hood's names. You know,
Oh, crazy. Wow.
it's just unreadable is the thing. So for commercial reasons, not the best decision to follow them on that. But I took
But it looks sexy. I didn't realize that all came from an actual book that you had.
oh
Is
yeah,
that for the
Those
abolition of
little,
man?
exactly,
yeah.
yeah.
That
And
makes perfect sense.
and it's
It's
going to
gonna
be in
look
red leather.
kind of like that. Yeah, like that red leather, like
Exactly.
that with gold and black. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
pretty sexy book, people. It will.
Is this sexy book here?
What? What is that?
It's the Kevin Smith Chasing Amy manga.
What?
Yeah,
Who made that?
one of the weirdest things I own. So it's the artist, I believe, is Moyoko Anno, who's done a lot of stuff that's been translated, and it's mostly prose, but then it has comic sections in it. Like here's the famous like girls making out at the bar scene.
What in the hell?
It's really
Who
fascinating.
licensed that book to be a manga? It's a great movie.
Yeah, but it's really fascinating if you look at it because you know there's a lot of things like in Chasing Amy, Mike Allred came in and did the comic pages in it. So here
Yeah.
you have a manga redraw of the Mike Allred comic pages.
Oh, they don't get it at all.
Yeah, and it's really bizarre.
How's the spine on that one?
Oh yeah, that's the important thing. It's kind of basic, but I found this book by the spine. I bought it at a manga store.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a Dan Clowes spine to me.
I like to think that Dan Clowes' entire career was trying to reach the heights of the Chasing Amy manga.
Very much so. Speaking of which, I'm
I
in
saw
the
the
way.
8-ball back there.
Yeah, the 8-ball and the patience. Those are easy.
Mm-hmm.
What about
a tall red skinny one there?
this?
Yeah.
What is your guess?
Is that a Tintin?
No, my
Special-
Tintins are only about this big.
Oh yeah.
What can you tell what these are?
I think that's the one about the guy who there's multiple versions of himself, and he goes back to his apartment, and they all fight and have sex with each other. Is that it at all? I think you did a formalism.
Oh no, that one I know what you're talking about. The Kill Offer. No, that is a big ass book. If you can figure out these, you might figure out that a little better.
Oh, those are a mystery. Because we're still in your manga section over there, right?
No, we've jumped now.
Okay.
No,
And then
that's
there's two very long books flipped upwards here. That might give you a clue too.
And they're not Mazzucchelli books.
Mazzucchelli Tangent?
Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sin
Oh.
City,
So those are the
300.
300 books tipped on the side there. Yeah.
And then this is the black and white version of Big Guy and Rusty the Robot, or
of
whatever
course,
the
yeah,
hell that's called.
Jeff Darrow,
Yeah.
Miller stuff.
I've
Yeah.
seen that spine so many times, and I've
And-
never read that book. I've probably seen the spine more often as a store that I used to go to that had that in stock perpetually.
The Big Guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the regular color version of it. I just have the black and white one with no lettering.
This is the less the spine, but more the thing. This is the Video Girl Eye manga. That if you
That's
take
a
it off,
great book.
is it cool?
That's a cool ass cover.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'd never seen this isn't an English collection, is it? This is just
No.
Okay.
Yes, it's the guy that did Shadow Lady. Really beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
That's an awesome cover.
That's a dark as hell series. I read that when I was when it was coming out from Viz. I read it until until a certain scene that I'm actually kind of reluctant to describe.
Oh, are you talking about Video Girl Eye or Shadow Lady?
Video Girl Eye.
Oh,
There's like many volumes into it. There's a guy who meets a mindless video girl who like takes her into his classroom and everything. It's like 50 pages long, and I was like, I think I'm done with this series.
oh,
I'm gonna have to read it now. That sounds awesome.
it's fascinating. Can I explain the brief premise of Video Girl Eye?
Yeah.
So it's about a kid who's heartbroken, and when you're heartbroken at a certain magical moment in Japan, a video store appears, and you can go inside and rent a video, which would be your like perfect girlfriend that will lead you to becoming a better person and being able to date and everything. But he's broken his video cassette player, so his video girl comes out weird and messed up.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
and the
it's really
perfect design for that.
And they actually, after he did Video Girl Eye, he did a book called Video Girl Len that is basically what happens if things go right. And it's one volume, where Video Girl Eye this is volume 13, where things go wrong.
How many volumes did you get in, Sean, before you were like, nah?
I don't remember, and I don't even know if I remember the details of it. It's just that someone gets wiped, like the video girl her memory gets wiped, and so she doesn't have her personality anymore, and so some character basically takes advantage of her for 50 pages.
It's just a sex doll at that point.
Exactly, and I knew that he was going to do something else. It's just when you're reading it, and it's different to pick something up when something was weekly serialized and you're reading it in monthly installments. It feels different when you're like trapped in like an awkward, terrible scene for
like
4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is weird. I remember the Blade, not to get into the darkest comics we've ever read edition of Formalism Friday, but I remember the Blade of the Immortal guy did a series which was possibly the most disturbing comic I've ever read, which is just about orphan girls that get sold to prisons.
Ooh.
And it doesn't get better from that. It's just that, and then it ends, and you're like, why did I read 200 pages of an orphan girl just being put in a prison population?
Well, I mean, he has that chunk of Blade of the Immortal that's got to be like that much. That's just the guy in the prison getting chopped up and like his body. So they're like where they're trying to figure out his powers, and it's just hundreds of pages of abuse.
And it colored that for me because I was like, did he draw this with a boner? I don't know if I can read this in the same way.
Yeah, well, I'm when I go do my read through of those, because I think they're almost finished with those big hardcovers, and I'm getting them, and then I'm gonna read it all in one chunk, like do a reread. And now I'm gonna have that in my mind as I read that. Thank you,
I
Brandon.
apologize.
It's gonna
I'll
be
say
like 900 pages of.
for many years, the only other work that he did outside of Blade of the Immortal was bondage pinups for a really, really nasty magazine, like like bondage with like piercing and stuff, like
Oh,
hanging.
that makes sense.
So
Mm,
I think that the Blade of the Immortal plots are definitely congruent with his interests.
interesting. I would like to see some of those actually. I bet those are good ass drawings.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
like
mean,
this spine, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see this thing. Just kind of a cute Japanese girls comic.
I like the heart on it.
Just this.
Ooh,
you,
that's
you
a
got a
good cover.
you got a lot more flexibility with Japanese, I feel like, because the letter forms can be fit into a square without too much manipulation.
Very
So
much.
you just have a lot more play as a designer. English sucks.
Yeah, well, I feel like Japanese is much more made for sound effects.
Speaking of lettering fitting in, did you do the lettering on the Exile cover, Sean?
No, that actually came to me with the license. I'm pretty sure that Eric did that himself.
Because
Uh,
the way the letter fits together on that, where he's dropping the 2 and then the 3 and they fit in, that I was looking at that the other day, like, God, that is really nice the way he
no,
did
I'm
that. Let
really
me go grab that.
I'm really glad that was taken care of for me because it's intimidatingly good in Dutch. And in fact,
And the way the plugs in right there, and the way he drops the X and the L to get like in the negative space flowing all throughout there, I just think that's a hell of a logo design.
Yeah, that
And
is
it
really
adheres to that arc. It's really,
here,
really smart.
here's the Dutch logo, and you can
Oh, so
see,
he did the same trick.
yep, similar.
Balling, my favorite favorite Dutch comic book.
The balling.
The
Well,
Balling.
and that has like he was picking up on the kind of on that one, it's like the old Celtic
Right. Yeah,
patterning. Okay.
like rune, like not knotted runes. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's either him or Prince Jonker, the letterer. I think it's Eric though. But whoever it was did it for all of the editions. There's 7 different languages it's out in now, and they all are similarly impressive. It's interesting to see the Arabic one, is that I think looks like the one that somebody else must have done. But yeah, it's good, good design, and it was very interesting to sort of have a template to work from for all of the other design stuff, where essentially instead of like doing something fresh, I'm just copying the existing thing, which is actually a nice way to sort of get your grounding, not
Yeah.
screw it up.
And
Yeah.
it's good to have a base to go from. This has no spine on it, but I just want to show you guys this cool Tezuka magazine cover that I have on my shelf here.
What's he doing to Astro Boy there? It looks like he's tickling him.
Erased his memory. That's all I can tell you.
It's a 50-page sequence of Tezuka and Astro Boy.
Yeah, but this has
Ooh.
some really like aesthetically pleasing design in it. It has this very blocky National Geographic look to it that like there's something that I find that if you just take design from other eras or even just design and put it in comic books, it feels very innovative because comic books is oftentimes very rigid in its design.
Yeah, I think that's something Dave did, again, always going back to Cerebus, but I feel like he kind of nabbed that trick because he was always putting documents in the comics, so he would take on the style of those documents.
Right.
Yeah, it always does feel like, yeah, I know I've seen it a lot, but every time I see it, I am like, damn, this person's pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
I think magazine design, I was reviewing some book the other day, a one-man review, and I made the comment that I think there should be more magazine design in the discussion about comics, which is a different Formalism Friday. That'll next time.
Sure.
But magazine design is also the combination of words and pictures, and we don't ever really talk about it when we talk about comics. And I think there's something really interesting to
Yeah.
be poked at there that not many people have played with yet.
Very much.
That is very interesting, and like we were discussing in a previous Formalism Friday, there are actual concrete rules to like newspaper layout and things like that.
Yeah.
With I learned formally. I was on the tail end of the age that you would have actually picked that up. I had a newspaper class in 1996 through 1998. It was like formally taught certain newspaper design rules, which I could go over at some point if somebody would be interested in that. But I definitely, I definitely accidentally imported some of those things into my brain when it came to making comics, including the width of panel borders, i.e., the liner tape that you'd use.
Yeah.
Elements, and then keeping a pica's width of distance between elements as a small thing. So I don't even know people who are listening to this know what a pica is, but
it's one of the things that shows up on Photoshop that I always turn into pixels or inches. Because I'm like, I don't know what that measurement is. I've heard it. I know it's an old measurement. I don't really care. Give me an inch.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be kind of imported from that. So it's interesting to hear you say that about the magazine design. Also, when you were looking at the Chasing Amy book and you said that looked like a Dan Clowes thing, that's interesting because that's just basically that logo, and the treatment there is like a standard, like mid 70s, logo, like shiny, happy, come by our vegetable logo, which is, I would think, is the thing that would be the era that Clowes would have grown up in and been aware of.
Well,
So
he has a certain nostalgia for a certain design aesthetic. I think all the guys from the 90s, they have that like retro ads, and they're like, Chris Ware has that shit, and they got a hand letter everything. And it's like, they all, I don't know, that seemed to be a thing for a while, that like everything hand done retro ads and all that.
I was digging around for spine, sorry. Very pretty Charles Bukowski cover, by the way.
That's a good one too. Yeah. What's the spine on that one?
It's just a handwritten spine. It's functional, but
that's nice.
But when they get so thin like that, it's so hard to design on that. That's like, it's like, I want all my books to be this big so I can like make a big thick,
Not a cube. You just want a cube on all sides.
Yeah, it's easier to design.
Let me draw a cover for the spine.
Yeah, that's what I want to be able to do. Like that Ghost
so
in the Shell one is like, there's so much space to play with there. They got a whole gun and like a bunch of microchips. And
I present the idea that maybe not that edition, but I think Ghost in the Shell with the bullet casing is the best spine design I've ever seen.
It's actually really bad though, because Ghost in the Shell is so small on there, you can't read it. You don't know what the fuck the book is.
All right, let me see if I can grab mine in 2 seconds.
We're gonna get a butt crack again. Ah, no.
Yeah, that you're absolutely right. The thickness, like that 8-ball, just jumps right out. The orange on dark orange.
Because the letters are big enough that you can read them. I mean, it makes a difference.
I just have this Dark Horse edition that has this Battle Angel level mediocre spine.
Ooh, that's really bad. Yeah.
I have here's his Dominion, a Japanese edition of Dominion. That actually, I like the spine on this one a lot. It's shiny, has a little star on it.
Yeah, shiny's always good.
Yeah, and then I just have a bunch of the Dark Horse editions of his stuff.
I wish they'd reprint all of his other stuff.
Yeah, have I told you? I've probably said it multiple times, but at one point I actually met with the manga guy at Dark Horse to talk about. I got a book which is the Appleseed pencils printed in Japan, but it's printed like this size, contraband size. And I was trying to go in and be like, guys, can you do artist edition of Appleseed? I think that would be amazing. And they did talk about how they were thinking that they should reprint them again because they're out of print right now. And one of the main things I was pushing for is like, this is the current or the last edition of Appleseed.
Yeah, go big again.
Yeah, the Tom Orozowski designed logo that you see in.
Right.
And these ones where he took the Japanese logo and kind of English it. I think they're fantastic and be cool to get back in print.
Yeah, and just to have them hardcover and like they did. Well, I don't know. They did a crap job on the paper on the new Ghost in the Shell, but the reproduction is great. Just that, I don't know, like especially the more we talk about it, it seems like he has a whole world philosophy that plays out in all of his books, and it's like I can't even get a hold of Black Magic and Dominion, and like what am I going to do? Buy those used or like steal them online? Like you could be making money at that for sure. Look at Sean still over there. He's like, yeah, I got
Yeah.
that. He's so interested in that muscle. You got to go to get your Bridgmans tonight and figure that out. Sean's not interested in spines. He's interested in guns.
Exactly right. I like that bullet because it fires out of that gun.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one because I'm gonna start yawning on camera. We're doing this later than normal.
No,
But-
it was
Lord Carson with our spines again.
No, thank you for massaging my spines with your eyes, fellows. I appreciate it. After a long day, all that ogling of my spines was great.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.